Hello my scrappy friends and welcome to my YouTube channel today. It's Melinda Sweetman here with you with my latest share for cut to you. I do have a little bit of live stuff coming up in a sec, so I'm going to stop here and then I'll come back afterwards. Hello my scrappy friends, welcome to my YouTube channel today. Today's share is the September cut of the month cut file for cut to you. But before I show you what I've created and show you my process, I thought this was a really good time to suggest that if you are like me and you have a ton of supplies, it's a really good idea to sample them. So I had a bit of an experiment with this cut file this month before I created what I'm about to share with you. And I created this card. You can see I've done that watercolour in the background. I had my Cameo sketch out the cut file using a pencil, and then I thought it would be fun to watercolour some sparkly colours onto this black watercolour cardstock. And as I was colouring away, I'm like, these colours are not coming up, the colours that they should be. Like, this was the palette that I was using, and there's no yellow in it, there's no green in it. I was like, what is going on here? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to do my two samples. So I've got my black watercolor cardstock here and my white cardstock. And you can see these are the same colors as these, and these are the same colors as these. I found it fascinating that I got so many different colors from pinks and blues and purples on the black. So just something maybe to think about if you haven't already done it. Definitely 100% I recommend that you do samples, especially if you're going to be like changing between black and white backgrounds and those kinds of things. This card was inspired by another card that I had seen created by someone at my local scrapbooking store. She did a beautiful job, and I will link to that down below or on one of my socials or something for you. Name's Jodine, but yes, the card that she created was beautiful, different to what I've done here, but that's where I got my inspiration. So that's what I've got for you. That's where I'm starting today. If you haven't already, make sure you do like samples of your supplies so that you know exactly what you're going to get when you put it on paper. Anyway, I hope that you enjoy my process today, and I'm going to jump into it now. Alright, and so here is the big reveal. Like I said, I used my foil quill in my Cameo, and I got, I think this is rose gold foil. It kind of looks like it to me, so that's what we'll run with. I used the medium tip, and you can see I have foiled that whole panel. When I opened up this cut file in Silhouette Studio, I did resize it. I sized it so that it would fill the front of a card panel, and then I used my knife tool to cut it a little bit smaller. I knew I was going to trim off the edges of this, and I am working on watercolor paper again. So you can see here I've got my panel here, and I am literally, so I've got two jars of water. One has clean water and the other will have my clean the paintbrush water. You can see I'm working with two paintbrushes as well. One again is in the clear water, and what I'm doing is going in, dropping some water into whichever little shape I'm going to add colour to, and then going in with the other paintbrush with the colour. You can see that I'm adding like two colours to every, I'm going to call them petals because it's kind of like a flower. I'm adding two colours, just making sure that I'm, not putting green with red or something, because then I would get brown. So I'm just making sure that I'm using colours that are going to blend together nicely. And you can see it's a pretty easy process, but it did take a while. These are not the biggest little openings ever to watercolour, but I love the end result, which you can see right here. It is super shiny and sparkly and pretty. These watercolours are by Yuli. I think it's IUILE. I picked them up a couple of years ago on Etsy. I would love to be able to refill them, but they're quite expensive to get to Australia, so I might have to save or ask Santa or something. But anyway, I did use those ones, and the little palette that I'm working with, I think it's called the princess ones. So yeah, that was fun to paint and just a different way to use a cut file. I did originally think that I was going to pop this onto a white card base. As you can see, I've trimmed off my edges, so I've got an edge-to-edge panel here with all of that foil and watercolour. And I think it's at this point, oh no, not quite here. So I knew that I wanted to cut out a heart from the centre here. I'm going to pop him up with my sentiment on it. I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape here to keep my heart exactly where I want it, run it through my die cut machine, and you can see that's cut through beautifully. You'll also see here in just a sec that when I pull this tape off, it does take some of that paint. This is one of the good things about working with watercolour, in that it has lifted the paint, but because it is watercolour on watercolour paper, I'm able to go back in with just a damp paintbrush, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to do it right here. So that's one of the areas where the paint had lifted from. So I just go back in with a damp paintbrush with clear water, and I just reblend those colours, and you would never know. So there's a little trick for you. If anything goes kind of awkward on when you've done some watercolouring, it's pretty easy to fix it up on something like this. So I've got all that done. I did have an idea to use those other dies, which is why they were on my desk. And then I remembered I had this. This was actually from the Spellbinders Advent Calendar that I got last year. I've cut it on rainbow foil cardstock, and I've mounted the shadow on black, which is where I got the idea to then make my card from a black card base, which is what I'm deciding here. I end up adding 2 layers of foam to the heart. I didn't feel like it was enough dimension with just one. You can see I'm mucking around here with the foam. I don't know why I bothered. I should have just stuck it in straight lines because it's easier. And then I'm going to add some foam around this panel as well. This is thinner foam, and I have cut it into thinner strips to fit along the sides there, and I am also using my liquid glue just to make sure everything stays stuck. And you can see that overhangs there, but I'm just going to trim that off. In hindsight, I've realised while I'm watching this back, I could have left that there and just popped my heart on top and no one would ever know. But anyway, all is good. So I'm going to add some of my wet glue to this as well and pop this panel on. So my channel has been really quiet lately. If you have hung around for this long, I really do appreciate it. Things have been pretty crazy around here. The last 6 months has definitely been interesting and not what I had planned on. As most of you guys know, I had surgery in April and it was meant to be a 6-week recovery. And then I got an infection that didn't want to go away. It turns out after they went in a second time at the end of August that there was a loose screw and that there was also a small piece of a bone fragment that was floating around in there causing problems. So that has all been removed. I am finally feeling better, and hopefully that means getting some more time in my craft room and getting some more content up for you guys. If there is anything that you would really like to see, please let me know. Yeah, give me some inspiration or some ideas. I would love to hear what you have to say, and thank you so much for your patience while life has been happening and doing its thing in the background. How have you guys been? What have you been doing? What are we currently scrapbooking or card making or mixed mediaing, or I'd love to know. So back to my card here. I'm just working out exactly where my placement is going to be. Sorry for my head. I'm going to stick my sentiment on. And the final thing that I'm going to add to this card is some black enamel dots. Just making sure I've got my placement where I want it. So I'm going to come in with some black enamel dots, and again I decided to stick one enamel dot in a place, and then I decided I didn't like it there. When I lifted it up, the paint moved, and I think I left it in where you see me just fix the paint up. Again, really easy to do with this watercolour on watercolour paper. You can see I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I move it, I'm like, oh man, it peeled up the paint. So I cleaned up the edge of the enamel dot. I'm going to stick this down and then go back in with a little bit more water and fix it up. Let me know, which card do you like better? So I've got the first one that was right at the beginning of the video where I haven't done the whole pattern and it's on the black watercolor paper, and then I've got this one which is the whole panel with all the beautiful rainbow colors. Which one's your favorite? I will make sure that I link as well somewhere to Jodine's original card. Yeah, because I was really inspired by it. As always, thank you so much for choosing to spend your scrappy time with me. Make sure you check the box below for all of the details about the Cut of the Month Club, and I shall see you in my next process video. Have a fantastic scrappy day, my friends. Bye.